Hello and welcome to the Micro Business Development Program Deep Dive Podcast, hosted by three guys in ties. I'm Tyler Jokinen, Micro Business Counselor and Project Embrace Coordinator.
I'm Adam Annunziata, Business Counselor with Brock Community Action.
And I'm Benton Winrich, Business Counselor with Brock Community Action.
Today's topic is stress. Stress comes in all shapes and sizes, with information coming at us constantly from what seems like every direction. Any type of negative headline can capture our attention and distract us from whatever it is that we're trying to focus on, like running our business. Today we're going to talk about how to mitigate this stress and stay on point, run our businesses, stay happy, and remember that life is a beautiful journey. How do you guys deal with stress in your day-to-day life?
Adam, being a business counselor, you're, listening to every business, all these business problems, and you definitely feel the stress coming from a lot of business owners, given the climate right now, and a very rapidly changing world, trying to keep up with all the guidelines to do business today. These business owners, it's a very stressful environment, and a lot of times you can end up picking up some of their stress. And, I definitely feel that, trying to, help business owners control their stress and help them manage. I think one of the things that has really worked for business owners and myself is to sort of remove yourself from whatever you're currently stressing on. A lot of times there's a lot of aspects that go into running a business, and, certain aspects can, if you really focus in on them, they can get sort of into the weeds and get very stressed. If you can just, turn your focus onto another important aspect of your business, that way you come at it with a clear mind, and, you're removing yourself from the stressful situation anyways, still being productive, but, you're removing yourself from the stress, and you can sort of come at it again later with a clear mind. I feel like that has really worked for both myself in my personal life and for business owners as well.
I couldn't agree more, Ben. Sometimes the simplest advice is actually the best. And I think the fact of, if you're in a stressful situation, to remove yourself and to do something else. I do that all the time when I'm working on different parts. Maybe I'm in depth working on a spreadsheet, and that's gotten to a high stress level. And I'm like, okay, let me take a break for that. I'm going to put it aside, and I'm going to go to do something else. And I think that's really important, in our everyday lives, and especially in business, that if you're really getting stressed and trying to balance your budget, well, maybe then you can work on some marketing, work on something positive. I think we all feel more stressed about things we can't control. And there's so many things going on in the world right now that we have no control over. So I think focusing on things that you can fix and you can control in your business is just such an important and valuable thing. So really focusing in on things that you have control over, which is, having proper basic business skills. Get some more education in business if you don't feel comfortable. If you're stressed about taxes, learn more about taxes. I find the most empowering thing is that knowledge is power, and the more you learn, the less stressed you feel about certain things. And of course, the flip side is the more you learn that you don't know, and then the more stress that can cause. So I think always trying to learn and educate yourself can help reduce stress, but keep pushing that ball forward on where your knowledge base is.
Absolutely. Proper preparation. A lot of times the most stressful situations are when you're not prepared, and then you feel like you're not prepared. So definitely, if you maybe don't feel comfortable with a certain business aspect, doing that research to really get yourself comfortable with it. When you're comfortable, you're generally not as stressed with a topic.
Absolutely. Preparation is key for sure. And it's easy to see where your outside stressors may come from. Sometimes it might be looking at your cell phone. You get a text message you didn't want to see. It can take away your focus and cause stress at the same time. So I find sometimes I'll take my phone and put it in the other room if there's something that I really need to focus on. If I'm really deep into writing a business plan or helping a client with something that they don't quite understand, if I see a text message come in, ring, ring, all of a sudden I'm looking at my phone and I'm distracted. And my mind goes from what I was focusing on to now something that I don't necessarily need to worry about right now at the moment. It's not necessarily pressing. It can be hard to kind of get away from what you see in the news every day, as it just seems to come from everywhere sometimes. And, those outside stressors are really what distract us sometimes from keeping on task and staying on point in what we're trying to do and focus on.
It's funny when you bring up proper planning for performance. I'm always reminded by Adam and how much you love the 5 Ps. You you love the 5 P.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're all big believers that proper planning prevents poor performance. It's one of those things that can help reduce stress. And also the things you bring up make me really think about stress in life and how sometimes we have the most control over it by actually just turning off devices. I think a big part of it is like limiting the amount of screen time we have and getting outside into nature as much as possible. I find that to be very therapeutic. It's so much stress right now in the world. So I think it's important that we're doing this right now and kind of sharing with you guys listening that, all of us do experience stress in our life. And it's a natural part of being human, being on planet Earth. So I think it's definitely an important conversation. So I think maybe it'd be helpful if we kind of talk about some of the things that we each personally do to help reduce stress in our life. What's some things that you do, Adam?
Some things that I do is if I'm in the middle of something on my computer at work or whatever it may be, even sometimes with my kids, they're acting out or, I love my kids, but sometimes they can drive us nuts. Something I do is I just try to recenter myself. And I do that by just stopping what I'm doing, clearing my head. I'll close my eyes and I'll take 10 really deep breaths. And I find that moment where I'm taking those deep breaths, I can recenter myself and I'm calm again. And to me, it's just that simple to just get myself back on task and, relieve that stress. Sometimes it doesn't even feel like it's stress, but sometimes in my head, I feel things starting to get a little crazy. I just stop and I'll take some deep breaths, close my eyes, put myself in another place. When I open them back up after my deep breaths, I'm right back to where I started. What about you, Ben? What do you do to relieve your stress?
Tyler talks about, screen time and limiting screen time. There's a lot of people doing, we're obviously working remote. There's a lot of people right now working remote, doing things remote, business owners trying to be remote. That's just, an equation for a lot of screen time. And, one of the things is that the screen time can sort of stress you out, just being on a computer all day, thinking about the situations, right now. And, limiting yourself, removing yourself from that screen time can often be a really good way to manage that stress. And so, if I just get really, pent up or, just need to remove myself for a little bit, I'll go in, I have some plants in my house, I'll just go water my plants or it feels like, go outside, be in nature a little bit, just remove yourself from sort of the rest of the world, sort of center yourself back together and, take those breaths and, like you say, recenter. It does a whole lot of good and is super simple, super easy, but the simplest things can often be the best solutions.
I think that makes perfect sense. And the biggest thing I want to stress the point of, I suppose, would be the fact that all these things that we do to reduce stress, it's not just a one-time thing and then the stress is gone from life. It's more, it's a daily, a weekly kind of thing. When you start to feel stress and some tension building up, just take a walk. Take 5-10 minutes away from the screen, the computer, to just get outside, to get away from whatever the stressor is. Take those deep breaths and just kind of relax. I do a lot of kind of preemptive planning to try to prevent stress in my life. So I've eliminated social media years ago, and I find that to be a big help because I have very few notifications on my phone. Honestly, all the notifications I get during the day are work emails, and after 5 o'clock, I get really very, very little, if any, outside notifications or anything coming in. So I kind of limit the world down to just kind of my general vicinity and the house and on the property here, and really to deal with those basic things of stress. So I find that helps to reduce it a lot. Not taking on the world's stress, not taking on stress at a large scale and everybody else's stress. It's really, through work and business counseling and managing grants and stuff, there's a lot of important work that we're doing and really helping a lot of people. And it's really important that we remain focused and relaxed to be able to do that work clearly. And same thing for anyone who's a business owner. You have to be able to clear your mind of stress, to walk away, to be able to be focused for when you need to be. So many things we do are such high intellectual thinking work that we really need to have that time to really, really focus in on doing budgets and financial projections. We really need to think about target marketing and customer acquisition. These are really important topics, but you can't do them when your mind's thinking about all other sorts of stressors. So I think the most important thing is to just keep always trying to reduce the level of stress and complexity in our lives, and to just take that few minute break, de-stress, and then come back to it. And honestly, the days I feel the least stressed and the happiest are the days I get the most productive things done. When it's at the end of the day and I'm like, wow, I knocked out so many things today. I got everything I wanted to get accomplished and I got work done going towards tomorrow. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling relaxed. And there was something my wife actually said to me today that I thought about, which was, she said, I can't relax until I've done something for the day. And I think right now, with a lot more of us working at home, that we can't relax until we do something. So it's important to always be doing something productive, always be working on something in your business and your life. Do something productive. And that could be something on the computer, but that could also be something that's outside in the house. It could be getting those projects done, that to-do list done, getting something productive done for yourself personally, for your business. I think that's going to really help you feel like you're taking control of your life and moving towards the life you want to build, and that'll help you reduce stress.
Yeah, for sure, Tyler. I totally agree with you. And I think you bring up another good point. It's you have control over your stress in the choices that you make every day. By eliminating social media, that's something I also did, a couple years back. And I just find that without that distraction, I'm on my phone less and I'm more engaged in the activities that I have right in front of me. It's in our control to be able to control our stress. And another thing you have to ask yourself, if you find yourself feeling worked up or pent up about something that's going on, another thing that I do that really helps me mitigate my stress and anxiety levels is I ask myself this question. I say, is this in my control? Is it in my control? Can I control the outcome of whatever this situation is that's causing me stress? And if the answer is yes, it's in my control, then that gives me the right to go and fix it. And that gives me the opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to change either what I'm doing, what I'm watching, and it will help me change my mind and my thought process. And then my stress will be alleviated and my anxiety levels are lower. Things that I can't control, depending on the severity of it, if my house is on fire, that's not in my control, I'm running out of the house. But if it's something that, is something bigger than that's outside of my level of control, then sometimes you just have to shake it off and, like you said, go find a project to work on around the house or find something to do with your hands. I find myself, which is probably not the most healthy thing, but if I find myself very stressed, sometimes I'll just go into the kitchen. I'll start working on dinner. I'll start thinking about lunch for the weekend or, something like that. And I find that helps me reduce my anxiety, and I'm focused on something else now, and that's in my control. I'm focused on something that's completely in my control, and that helps me to really mitigate that anxiety.
Yeah, that really, one of the things that I keep hearing, this productivity, and that's really one of the things that, I also feel important. A lot of times you can feel like you're sort of stuck in park and you're not really doing anything. But by setting yourself sort of realistic goals, you can get that sense of accomplishment and productivity. You can feel like you're stuck in park and you're still moving. But, if you don't have anything to gauge this productivity or these accomplishments on, that's why for businesses, having that business plan is so important, because you can sort of you can always turn to that and sort of gauge where you are, where you have to go, how far you've gone. And, that can be really helpful, especially right now, for business owners to still feel like they're being productive and accomplished. And, because it can be really stressful to feel like you're not moving or doing anything. And, setting yourself realistic goals that you can accomplish to feel a little less stressed by, being productive, I think is really helpful for a lot of business owners.
I mean, that's a perfect segue into business planning. What I find is that thinking about things will stress me out, or sitting and thinking about things could be stressful. But if I get up and I start to do something with my hands and I start to do something that's proactive, I feel less stressed. And honestly, also I realize that just talking and having this conversation now, I feel less stressed. I feel less stressed just talking about stress. It's kind of an amazing thing, actually. So I think, talking about it with friends, with coworkers, I think having that conversation about how we each deal with stress is super important right now in today's world. So I think, the biggest thing is to realize that you don't have to be alone out there. You can have the conversation. It's okay to talk about it. We're here. And if you want help for writing a business plan and gaining control over some aspects of your life, we are here. We're business experts. That's what we do 40 hours a week, is we help people build and write fantastic business plans. We'll help you come up with financial projections so you can know and really estimate, what kind of income you can make from your business. I think that kind of control and understanding before you ever start a business is huge. And if you have a business right now that's struggling, reach out to us, call, email us. We will be more than happy to talk to you about whatever issues going on with your business and trying to really come up with a solution. So I think sometimes the most important thing is to not be like the ostrich and have your head in the sand, but to actually confront the issue head on and to come up with a strategy and a plan to fix it and to be proactive.
Thank you for listening to the Deep Dive Podcast featuring three guys in ties. Hopefully you've learned something from us here today. And if you would like to learn more about our free business counseling, please check us out on the web at www.mbdp.org. mbdp.org. Thank you for listening, and we hope to hear from you soon.